Okay, so in 1988, I was sent to the Olympics in Seoul, Korea by CBS News. You might think this is a great thing. Actually, it's a terrible thing. It's a bad assignment. I guess I was sent because I was the youngest or dumbest guy in the place. Nobody else really wanted to do it. The reason was that NBC owned the venue rights, and so you couldn't get into the Olympic Village, you couldn't get into the events, you couldn't shoot the gymnastics and all that other crap that people want to see. And at the same time, because it was Sunday morning, they wanted an 8-minute piece. In fact, it was 3 weeks. They wanted 3 8-minute pieces, and without access, that was pretty tough to do. I was working with Bill Geist. You've probably still seen him. His son is on, I guess, NBC now. But a great guy, one of the very few really great, funny, decent people I ran into in a business filled with egotistical assholes. But that's another story. Anyway, so I knew we were going to go to the Olympics, and I knew that I had to make these pieces, and I wasn't going to get any access. And frankly, it's a poison chalice, as they say, not at CBS News. So in order to get ready for the thing, I flew out to the Olympic Training Village, which is in Colorado Springs. And, there you get access, because NBC didn't buy that one yet. And so I was able to meet with all the Olympians, and of course you have TV, and they all want to be on TV. And I thought the smart thing to do here would be to take the sports that nobody else does. So I did ping pong, which was I think table tennis they call it, is an Olympic sport, and synchronized swimming, where they go up and they wave around and stuff like that, and bowling, which actually was an Olympic sport then. It was, it's an Asian. They like to bowl, and the Brunswick Corporation had produced this film about how the average bowler lifts a ton of weight on their arm in a lifetime. It is what it is, a business. So anyway, I thought with those 3 sports, I was pretty good because I was going to be in territory clearly nobody else was going to do. They were all following Florence Griffith Joyner and stuff like that. So I still had the access issue, even though the synchronized swimmers and the ping pong people, and they had a team psychiatrist, all wanted to participate, but they couldn't. So I got this idea when I was in Colorado Springs. Remember, this is 1988. So I went to the local store, the electronics store, and I bought a bunch of Hi-8 video cameras. Hi-8 was just first coming out as a medium. And I thought, I'll give them the video cameras, and then they can shoot the Olympic Village and what life is like behind the scenes and their trip flying. I didn't need access, and of course I didn't need a cameraman, I didn't need a crew, and I didn't need that stuff. And so I gave them the cameras, and I showed them how to shoot. It's not that hard to do. You come to our boot camps, I'll teach you how to shoot too. Like we always say, any idiot can do this, just don't move the camera. So all the Olympians, and the girls were great in the synchronized swimming team. They were shooting stuff all over the place, and they got there, and they went to the Olympic Village, and they met with each other, and of course the ping pong team was practicing their 8 hours a day with ping pong, or meeting with their team psychiatrist because they were depressed, because when they got there, they met the other Olympians, and they all said, what are you doing? They go, well, I'm a discus thrower, and I'm a gymnast, and I'm a basketball, and they go, I play ping pong. So no wonder they need a team psychiatrist. Anyway, so I got to I got all this stuff, and they shot the stuff, and then Geist and I went to Korea, and we had very, very little. We couldn't get in the Olympic Village, and we couldn't get to the sports, we couldn't get to the venues, so we did what we could do and mangled together. But I got all the videos back. They shot on, those little Hi-8 cassettes, and I got all the videos back from all my Olympiads who I had given the cameras to, and the stuff was fantastic. And so I cut it together, and I shipped it off to CBS, Sunday morning, so they could air it was before America's Funniest Home Videos, way before YouTube. Before any of this stuff. It was really great stuff. And of course, when it got there, the executive producer of the show, I can't remember her name, she became a vice president of CBS News. She turned to me and she said, we can't air any of this. And I said, why not? What are you, out of your mind? And she said, we can't air any of this because it wasn't shot by a union cameraman. Of course it wasn't shot by a union cameraman. It was shot on a home video camera. This is way before America's Funniest Home Videos, right? That stuff. This was early. And the stuff was great, and it was killer. And they wouldn't let me do it. They wouldn't let us put it on the air. So, I was stuck with Bill. He's a very creative guy. And we mangled some stuff together. We went to bowling alleys and ping pong, tournament places in Korea and stuff like that. And we made the pieces. And one day, and finally they got so annoyed with me, they called up and they set up to do an interview with Florence Griffith Joyner and her husband, Al Joyner, because they were so pissed off at what we were doing. It wasn't my fault. I did the best I could, but I gave them absolutely fantastic stuff, but they couldn't use it, not because it wasn't great and not because it wasn't even broadcast quality. That wasn't even an issue now. It was because it wasn't shot shot by union cameramen. Well, I mean, talk about killing yourself for nothing. So, I walked away with that with two very important lessons there. One, the union's a complete, I'm sorry, I'm going to get all kinds of nasty letters from people at broll.net, but really, you guys kill yourself for nothing. I mean, what was the point? You couldn't get access. It's not like we got to hire a union crew to go in and we were taking your jobs. It was just that it was not there. And the other thing that I learned, and this is the most important one, was about liberating people to tell their own stories. The stuff those guys did, behind the scenes, on the bus, in the training, in the dormitory, stuff like that, was fantastic. It was a million times better than you could ever get with some stupid reporter showing up with a crew and a producer and all that kind of crap and tell someone else's story. Let them tell their own stories, which is why I got this real passionate thing for, authorship and stuff like that. And I'm sorry you never got to see the videos because they were absolutely great. So what we've done instead is we've gone down the road of, with people like the UN and stuff like that, empowering people to tell their own stories. I'm a big fan of this. And of course, YouTube has come along and opened the door for this now. So pretty much everybody tells their own stories. They just do it badly, which is why we think you should sign up for the VJ.com and learn how to do it properly. In the meantime, I ultimately ended up quitting CBS News and going off on my own and doing this VJ thing, which all worked out, more or less pretty well. And all the stuff we did afterward was always an iteration of this notion of democratizing the medium and putting the power of television journalism into everyone's hands, just like print is, which is where current TV and all this other stuff came from. But the tragedy, and I can't tell you how much of a tragedy it is, tragedy in Olympic sense, was that this great stuff never got to see air, not because it was bad. In fact, it was better than most of the stuff you saw on NBC, so predictable and square and in a box and a guy like this with a suit and, whoa, now we're going to go to this and now we're going to go, and they spend, what do they spend? Hundreds of millions of dollars for this thing when it could be so simple to do. In the future, I think this is how all Olympics will be covered, but we'll talk about that another day. In the meantime, that's all I got today. Hey, Chris, good to see you, and I love the pictures from your wedding. We'll talk to you another time, maybe even tomorrow. Bye.